Wait till you hear what happened next, you won't believe what that quiet boy did. But first, let me take you back to where it all began. In the crowded street of Model Town, Lahore, the summer heat pressed down on everything like a heavy curtain. People moved lazily between vendors, rickshaws honked impatiently, and school kids in uniform crowded tea stalls after classes. But amidst all that noise, there was one boy who barely made a sound. Ayaan was the kind of boy you wouldn't notice in a crowd. He didn't speak much, didn't argue, and mostly walked with his eyes glued to the ground. His uniform was always clean, shoes perfectly polished, and backpack neatly strapped over both shoulders. At 16, he was already taller than most boys his age, but he never used his height to intimidate anyone. If anything, he seemed to shrink in public, as though trying to disappear. They called him names, and the worst of them all, and yet, he never responded. Every day, Ayaan would walk the same route from school to home, through the bazaar and past the juice stall run by an elderly man named Chacha Kareem. Chacha Kareem had seen it all: fights, thefts, lovers meeting in secret, but Ayaan's silence disturbed even him. "Beta, you alright?" he would ask sometimes when Ayaan passed by with a bruise under his eye or a ripped shirt. Ayaan would just nod, manage a faint smile, and keep walking. What nobody knew, what nobody even bothered to ask, was what was going on behind those silent eyes. Because behind Ayaan's silence was a storm waiting to rise. It started on a Tuesday. The school had just reopened after Eid holidays, and students were rowdy, noisy, and full of mischief. Ayaan walked into the class quietly, books in hand, and headed straight for his usual seat at the back. That's when the self-proclaimed king of the class decided it was time for some entertainment. Samir was everything Ayaan was not: loud, flashy, aggressive. He came from money, had the latest phone, and always surrounded himself with a group of boys who laughed at every joke, no matter how cruel. "Hey boy!" Samir shouted, "Look who's back from Eid vacation, our very own Mr." Silent. Laughter erupted. Ayaan said nothing. Samir walked over and pulled out Ayaan's chair just as he was about to sit. Ayaan fell to the floor with a thud. The class burst into laughter again. "You didn't bring me mitai," Samir mocked. "No sweets for your seniors. Bad manners, bro." Still, Ayaan said nothing. He picked himself up, dusted off his uniform, and quietly sat back down. That silence, that infuriating calmness, made Samir's blood boil. Later that day, at lunch break, things escalated. Samir and his gang cornered Ayaan near the canteen. Without any warning, Samir slapped him across the face, and for a split second, Samir didn't feel like the powerful bully anymore. He felt small, exposed. That moment didn't last long, but it planted a seed. That evening, Ayaan went home, his cheek still red from the slap. His mother saw it and rushed to him. "Kya wa beta? Who did this to you?" "Nothing, Ami," he whispered. "Just boys being boys." But in his room, he opened a drawer under his bed and pulled out something no one at school knew about. A pair of and he stared at them for a long time. It had been 2 years since he'd stepped into a dojo. After his father's accident, he'd quit training to take care of his mother and younger sister. But now, something inside him stirred. Something deep. He slipped on the gloves, and tightened the black belt around his waist. Over the next few weeks, Ayaan changed. Not on the surface. At school, he was still quiet, still polite. But he started waking up at 4 a.m. He trained in the backyard with old mats, broken punching bags, and videos of his old sensei. His body remembered. His spirit reawakened. He didn't want revenge. He wanted control. He wanted to remind himself who he truly was. The silent boy was no longer asleep. The slap video went viral within school. Samir made sure of it. "Watch me shut up the quiet freak," he wrote in the caption. Teachers ignored it. Students whispered about it. But no one asked Ayaan how he felt. Until the came. It was an event open to the public. Parents, students, even local celebrities were invited. The school hosted a martial arts demo every year, usually featuring Samir and his gang throwing fake punches and flashy kicks. But this year, a surprise name was added to the list. Samir laughed when he saw it. "He's going to show us how to stand quietly on stage." The day came. The grounds were filled. Cameras were rolling. And then, Ayaan walked to the center of the stage. He was wearing a white gi, his black belt tied perfectly, his posture upright, his eyes calm. He bowed. And then he moved. Dash dash dash. One by one, he demonstrated kata, board breaking, and speed drills that made the crowd gasp. Then came the sparring challenge. A volunteer from the audience, Samir, laughing, stood up. Let's give him what he wants. He walked onto the stage. The crowd tensed. Even the principal didn't stop it. What followed next?